Hey there, everyone. Welcome to our run of Thirsty Sword Lesbians by April Kit Walsh, inspired by CosmoKnights by Hannah Templar. Before we jump into things, I want to do a round of introductions for anyone watching. I'm Steven, he, him. I'm the one currently organizing the reading club and facilitating it. I am also GMing this particular run. And if we could go around clockwise, and if you could introduce yourself and your character, that would be great.
Hi there, my name is Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. Today I'll be playing Sola, who uses they, it pronouns.
Hi, I'm Lyra. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns. I'm playing Kay, also known secretly as Princess Kira of House Stone.
Hi, I'm David, use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Trace Soto, who also uses he, him pronouns.
My name is Claire. I use she, her pronouns, and I am playing a character who was given the name Beta by her creators, but nowadays she is going by Freckle.
So, with that taken care of, I want to get back to where we last left off with Sola. You had just won the joust, hadn't you?
Yes, but the floor underneath me was collapsing, and part of it was due to that joust that night who decided to go for broke, and fortunately my nannies were able to stabilize the structure, and that kept us from basically melting.
You know that as you did win, that you do have to accept the favor now.
I vaguely remember that part from the previous joust, but I was more interested in getting out of the mech suit and into a more suitable frame. So I actually didn't collect the favor last time. The knight that was piloting the mech suit did. So this is interesting.
Yes, you are conducted to the fanfare of and cheers of the crowd. And I kind of want to turn this question over to Freckle. What is the kind of elaborate princess dress that we see Aurelia in?
So I think that it's more gold trim than dress. It's basically like there was a dress at some point. I'll say like maybe purple and just like extremely long train behind it. And then there's this like gold, kind of just like ornate zigzagging kind of web pattern. And there's also like a bunch of little spikes that come up out of it and kind of goes into some shoulders that are really big and imposing, like monuments, and just like the tallest, most ridiculous crown you've ever seen in your life. And like she's got just a big old fat necklace with a bunch of gemstones in it. She's got like rings on all of her fingers. It's just yes, in the comments, Puck just said sounds like a Lady Gaga outfit, and extremely. Yes. So yeah, basically that.
Reviewing the scene through the eyes of the audience viewing it on the large screen. And now our Dark Horse competitor, Sola, proceeds to receive the favor of the beautiful Princess Lorelei of House Aurelian. And I think that there's this moment as you approach where Lorelei says, "Oh, you were not who I was expecting." But then she composes herself and flashes a grin to the camera. How is Sola handling all this? How is Sola doing their kind of part of this performance of the joust?
I look at her and I say, most people do not expect me. It is quite all right. It is unexpected. One expects a human, yes?
Oh, well, yes. And she stands and steps down from her golden sphere. But you are something quite more than that, aren't you? I think you'll do more than nicely. And she kind of holds reverently out her favor to you. What do you do?
What is this?
This is the favor. You're to uh and she flashes a slightly like nervous what the hell is happening grin, but have it totally under control grin at the cameras again. you're meant to take it.
What does it do?
It doesn't do anything. It signifies.
What does it signify?
It signifies that you have won my hand. And I feel like, are you pushing to figure someone out here, Puckett? I mean, to be fair,
So
I know that that's what Sola's always trying to do to people, but
yeah, I mean, unless there is like a read the sitch move or something like that, because Sol is genuinely confused by this. I mean, particularly when she says it's a favor that gives her hand. I mean, isn't that painful? Wouldn't you, it would have to be more removed, wouldn't it? Is that a surgical procedure? So, if there's a read the sitch move, I'll happily roll for that. In the absence of that, I'll happily roll for the
figure out a person.
yes.
Oh, that's a 10.
Look, if
I mean,
that's better than 11.
Yeah. Yeah, as always, this is a everyone is great at everything run so far.
I think it's just that I'm so bewildered that it's somewhat charming.
Yeah.
What are your feelings toward the system that is making you give basically a robot your favor?
Oh, she hates it, but she wants to rule over it.
Great.
And I think that as she is holding it out to you, she leans in close. I really need you to put on a good show here. It's very important to my image.
Of course you would like a good show. How should I remove your hand?
I think at that point, there's a little bit of a roll of her eyes, and then she just swoons into your arms.
And I'll catch her and hold her. And it's pretty clear that I'm uncertain about what to do. But being as she has swooned into my arms, I will hold her. I'm not going to drop her or anything silly like that. The second question, what do you hope to get from me?
She wants you to perform the role of a dashing knight for her on camera. Like, she wants you to put on this show of winning her heart for the camera.
Okay. So I will quickly access my historical archives and I will reconfigure my body to be a literal suit of armor circa Middle Ages England.
I think there's definitely like a little bit of gasping from the audience because I don't think anyone has quite seen you do that on camera in this match yet. And I think there's definitely a little bit of a widening in her eyes as she says, "My, you certainly have unexpected talents, don't you?"
I'm not sure that they're unexpected if you understand what nanites are and how they work. But they may be unusual to organics because it is my understanding that organics do not usually have nanites inside them. Is this disconcerting? I could return to my previous form if you wish.
I think that she looks up at you, and there's this kind of performative longing look in her eyes. And she says, "No, just take the favor in your hand and hold it aloft."
And I will take the favor in my hand and do as she requested.
And there is a cheering from the crowd and a kind of satisfied grin on her face that she is kind of like shielding against your shoulder from the camera.
You seem pleased by this outcome.
It's always good to know that your performance is appreciated.
I see. So this is, and I'll pause for a split second while I look up the word performance. So this is an act. You are playing a role. This is not real.
And as the cameras swoop away, she stands up, moves out her gown a little bit, and says, "Well, of course. Aren't you playing a role as well?"
I was trying to win a joust. I was not aware that there was a performance in it.
Well, I suppose that one can't expect a mass of nanites to understand the theater arts. But I suppose you'll be taking me to your ship now, will you?
Is there somewhere else I should
Move
take you?
along now. Let's move along now, shan't we? I don't want to remain around here too much longer.
Very well. And I will activate the comms and say, Trace, I appear to have won the favor of a princess. I'm sure you can explain in greater detail what that means, but am I to be bringing her aboard the Kestrel?
I think we get that moment over the comms of the sound of fighting and grunting and things smashing into one another, and Trace just goes, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Be with you soon."
And I think that with that, we hand then over to the fight. And I'm kind of curious. What is the exciting backdrop that your fight has moved to in the time since we last saw you, Trace?
I think we're out on like a balcony. The city sort of spread out below it. There's lots of like fancy tables set up with refreshments that are being knocked over, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think that Avery is kind of smashing through tables with their gauntlet things. And you have managed to keep them at bay. I'm curious, is your goal here to try to get away or to properly take them out of this fight?
I think Trace is probably at this point more concerned with getting away from here. I think he's probably worked out. He's probably given Freckle enough time to exit the scene. So it's probably about the point where his thoughts are turning more towards getting away. But I wonder if maybe while this is the sort of point where like maybe Avery is coming more on the offensive and Trace is sort of falling back to defend. He's probably doing the sort of thing of like, grabbing chairs up and using them to sort of block the blows and this, and trying to kind of sense out an opening.
So are you figuring out a person?
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Sure, give me a roll of wit.
Actually, I have among wolves, which means during a physical conflict, I can figure out a person with spirit instead of wit.
Okay, cool.
And I get an extra question off of the in combat question list. Ooh, that's a 6.
Oh man.
But
I think you still get a question, right?
I do anyway, yeah. Can you spend a string retroactively, or does it have to be up front?
Yes, you spend it after the roll specifically.
Cool. Then I will spend a string to take that up to a 7.
Yeah, because you do have that one on Avery.
Exactly. Cool. So yeah, I'll take that to a 7 to 9, which I think just gets me one question plus my one question. Is that right?
2 questions from the list, but they get to ask 1.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Cool. So yeah, I will ask. I think the first one I'm going to go for is the obvious one that I'm going for here. Which is, how could I get you to let me escape?
I think if you accept the blame for Rook's death, like out loud to them, I think that will. I think it will cause like enough emotional turmoil for them that they'll let you go.
Cool. And then I think I'm actually then going to ask both of my other questions from the Heart That Wields the Blade, which is, what is it that drives you to fight?
I think they're just really angry at the world in general, and serving as a guard for House Stone is an outlet for that. And I think that that's kind of what you get as they're kind of smashing things recklessly in their chase after you.
Yeah. And I'll ask everyone as well, which is, what's the one thing you cannot stand to lose?
The one thing they can't stand to lose is their memory of their brother. I think they've kind of lionized him in his death and kind of erased any flaws he might have had.
Cool. Oh yeah, do you want to ask the question of me?
Oh yes, I could ask one of you. Right. I think that Avery is shouting at you about how you don't care about anyone. You just only care about yourself. And I'm going to ask, what do you love what do you love most?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think freedom is his answer at the moment. And I think, yeah, and I think that's kind of the point where he's going to say, look, I don't want to do this anymore. All we are is the choices that we make. I want to see you become the person your brother would have wanted you to be. I wish I hadn't taken him from you, but I did. And that's on me. But if I can make that wrong right in some way, then I want to.
I think that Avery is about to punch you again when they just kind of lower their hand in kind of defeat, and you see a look of exhaustion over their face. There's some things you can't make right, Trace. Look, it doesn't matter. You don't even have the drive anymore. Just get out of here. Take your freedom that you care so much about. But I'm going to promise you, House Stone is going to come after you. And the next time we meet, I'm not going to be so generous.
Well, and I think Trace will give kind of a sort of salute to that and say, then I look forward to facing you again.
And as we fade back out on that, I like the idea that to close out the session, as that moment of the kiss, the gun falls apart, we then pan the camera away a little bit from the two of you to the entryway to the ship, where how much of that did Freckle see? Since Freckle was coming here to the ship, right?
Sure. Yeah. So of Trace and
Oh no, of the whole kiss gun falling apart
sure.
thing.
Yeah. No, I mean of course you saw. That's great. Yeah. So
Out of curiosity, does any of that make you smitten with either of them?
so this would be Lyra, sorry, Kay or the
Or Amor.
Amor. I think that her previous impression of Kay up until now is that she seems like, oh, just like a sweet little baby, like, oh, just pat on the head, like she's very nice, but like seeing her kiss like that, she's like, oh, she got some skills. Like, so sure, we could do a little I'm fine with doing a little smitten. That'd be fine.
Sure. So when you become smitten, you give the object of your smitten, and you can remove smitten at any time. You can fall
Okay.
out of smitten with someone, but you give them one string on you. So Kay, add a string to your sheet and answer the question under your truths of heart and blade, which for you is that love interest.
Okay. So my question is, why do you think you must keep up your performance to have any chance with them? Let me think. Could you answer your question first, Lyra?
It's Lyra doesn't answer a question
Oh, she doesn't, because she's not smitten.
Unless
Right.
Kay is also becoming smitten with someone. I hadn't asked before.
Yeah.
Does Kay want to become smitten with Amor or not?
I think. Oh, I think I do. Yes.
Cool.
Which is a clear challenge to being with them that you are overlooking because of your naivety. They are literally like a. They are literally. They've just held me at gunpoint. They're literally a hostile entity.
Yes.
Like I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, sure. So I think that for me, I'm going to say the performance that I'm going to have to keep up for wanting, if I wanted to be with Kay, would be the performance of not wanting to go back to House Aurelian. Because
Oh,
I
awesome.
think that I've gathered that Kay has a really strong distaste for like nobility and, you know, all of that stuff. But I'm still like pining for my old life of like comfort and luxury and stuff. So
Yeah. And I think as we have this moment, Amor looks from Kay to Freckle, does a little kind of cock of the eyebrow, and then looks back to you, Kay, and says, "Well, you just get more and more interesting the longer I know you." And I think that's where we fade to black for this session.
I think the last thing we see is Kay's blush at that.
Yes. So first off, let's do the end of session move. If you look over to our moves here, to the column D, row 10, there's end of session. So each player marks XP if during the session any PC confess their love.
I think confessed really happened.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Yeah. So any PC struck a blow against oppression or de-escalated a violent situation. Which I think we just got there at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was
also
going to say
with yours,
that
of course, as well.
I took apart a weapon. Like that.
Yeah.
That reduces the violence in a situation.
Yes. So everybody can take an XP. Did any PC leap into danger with daring and panache?
I feel like Trace did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also feel like Freckle did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone can take an XP, and I mean, we went over all the safety tools. We went through them all again, so I think that's worth an XP as well. Even though I don't think anybody really hit on one in play this session.
Okay.
Didn't it?
Claire specifically checked in about the.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
About the relationship. Yeah, that's cool with me. That's also fine.
Where
So,
where
yeah.
do we mark XP on the?
There is on the sheet, right under the name
Row
of the
6.
of the playbook. Yeah, row 6.
Awesome. And then how many XP is it per advance?
5.
5. Cool.
And so I'm going to take us off air. I had a lot of fun with meeting Freckle and just growing out this disaster with Freckle's terrible, terrible clone romantic interest. I look forward to how much more we can make all these characters' lives disasters.
I've just thought about how complicated things are going to be if Princess Lorelei is in fact going on our ship, which
Yes.
I am also presumably fleeing to with the hard drive, and we end up on the same ship escape together.
Yep.
Like, that's going to be a very weird situation. So,
Mhm.
Especially if more comes along.
So
Yeah.
thanks everyone for playing, and anyone who's watching. I'm going to take us off the broadcast now, and we'll do a quick round of stars and wishes. Have a good day, all.